We've got the Cadillac XT4 in the sport trim.
The fastest growing segment of the auto industry are vehicles just like this. This one's a bit of a surprise. Sounds pretty good. Now last week we had the Cadillac XT5. This week the XT4. What's under the hood of this one?
A 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a 9-speed automatic transmission, 237 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive is available.
And this is a newer vehicle than the old XT5. That one's at the end of its life. This one came out just a couple of years ago. And it comes with a lot of stuff. Let's get into our key standard features.
Here are the base model features in Canada: an 8-inch touchscreen, a 4.2-inch driver information display, wireless Apple Carplay and Android Auto, 7-speaker audio system, heated leatherette front and rear seats, power driver and passenger seats with 2-way lumbar support, heated steering wheel, keyless open, LED headlamps and LED taillights, power liftgate, and 18-inch wheels.
Got a nice dashboard, lots of buttons. There's one here that says mode. What are we going to put it in?
You have to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit the notification bell, you'll be notified when our videos drop, and then you can watch them all.
We do 5 a week. We do this, a couple car review, every Wednesday.
Every Saturday, we put out another couple car review.
Monday is the live show.
Tuesday's always a comparison.
And Friday, some cool old or collectible car. And how you find out is to subscribe, but also follow on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea. And from me, it's Motormouth_Auto. And the links are below. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code Motormouth to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below. So any given week, we have 3 or 4 different cars parked in front of our house to drive.
Yeah.
What car has Andrea been driving all week? This one.
I keep picking this. Every time I go out, I think, I'm going to drive the Cadillac. This is really fun. I like this engine. The 9-speed automatic transmission shifts smoothly. I think that this vehicle is fantastic, and it is one of the better ones in this class that I have driven.
Actually, that's not what you said. You think it's your favorite in this class.
I think that the X1 is a little bit more dynamic, and I like it a little bit more, but this XT4 is right up there.
So the engine and the transmission and the way it works is all strong, but a vehicle is the sum of its parts. And then when you get into the inside, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, there are wins and misses for each car, and that's what we're going to get to with this.
Yeah.
But you had a point about turning it around.
Yeah, well, although I think it's very nimble and quite quick for a 2-liter turbo, the turning radius isn't very good. The XT5 that we just reviewed had a better turning radius than this XT4.
So when we picked this up, a white car, I thought, a white car, they're so dull to shoot, but this one looks good with the white and black contrast.
Yeah.
This is also the sport trim, which gives you a slightly different look.
Yeah, I like the big bold grille that we see with Cadillac. This one is in black, and like Zach said, you get all those black accents throughout. This one comes with 20-inch wheels. We've been upgraded. I like the bigger wheels. I think it makes this vehicle. I think the fit and finish of the interior is quite nice. This one is all black leather. I think we could lighten it up a little bit, but if you are someone who always tends to go with black, this is a good one. It has some cinnamon orange colored trim. Cadillac calls the stitching in here cinnamon, so it adds a little bit of contrast, but not a lot.
Does it go with your spice latte? I don't drink
Pumpkin
those.
spice, it does.
You also get a bit of carbon in here. Now let's get into the size of the screen, because Andrew and I kind of differ on this. It comes with an 8-inch screen. I think it fits the dash. It looks proportional.
I think it looks proportional and it's intuitive to use, but it just is not good enough in this class.
It's only because you know what's coming from Cadillac. They've already given us the Escalade with the big, huge wraparound dashboard, and we've seen the Lyric has the same thing. You're just thinking, I want that in this.
I'm just thinking that the other competitors have a bigger screen. You see it in Mercedes-Benz with the GLA, the Q3, and even the Volvo XC40 has a 9-inch screen. This is just not good enough. I want to see what's in the Lyric in this, because this is a small
See,
car.
I knew it was coming to that.
The 33-inch LED curved screen.
All right, kudos to Cadillac, though, because you get a very intuitive, so the size of the screen Andrew thinks is not big enough, but it works really well. General Motors infotainment system is very easy to use, but I love the fact that they have all the hard keys below that for the heat, for a lot of the features you're going to use on a regular basis. Plus you get a controller wheel, volume knob. There's lots of ways to interact with the car.
So there's a couple things that irritate me about this interior and the trim levels. The premium luxury trim, it doesn't come with a panoramic sunroof, and on the base trim you can't get a panoramic sunroof.
Double thumbs up.
So you have to either add that in a package or through an a la carte item. The other thing that irritates me is this sport trim that we're in only comes with leatherette trim.
This is leatherette?
No, this is not leatherette. We got a package and we upgraded to leather. But if the premium luxury trim comes with standard leather, so should this sport trim. It's the exact same price.
This vehicle is kind of really bogged down by packages. Everything is in different packages. We want Cadillac to come with a low, medium, and high trim in luxury and sport, and that's it. Because I think if they sharpened their pencil and came with a lot of good content, which they have, at a reasonable price, they would sell more.
Yeah, the base model comes with a lot of standard features, and then if you get the premium luxury, you get driver's seat memory, ambient lighting, and a hands-free power liftgate. It's the same with the sport trim. But if you want a wireless charger, a panoramic sunroof, you have to pay extra for these things. Even the Bose stereo system, a 13 speaker, I want that.
It should just be in, they should have a low, medium, and high trim and package it that way. The only way I would buy this car, I like the way it drives, I like the way it looks, I think it's a well done product, is if I got a deal on it.
Sure.
I would have to go to Car Cost Canada, use the promo code Motormouth, find a deal, and then I'd be happy with it. If I paid full jam for this, no, I wouldn't be happy.
Too many packages, too many features in different packages, and the price adds up way too fast for this category. Zach, what do you think about the second row seat for you in space?
Well, they made a conscious effort to take the space available in this car and put it towards the rear legroom. So this is actually very good.
This is best in class.
Yeah.
This has even more space than the Corsair and even that Envision that we recently reviewed, which felt very spacious in the second row.
When you open the trunk, it doesn't look as big. They've obviously taken space away from the trunk and put it in the rear seat. With carry-on and a cooler, Andrea, how did it do?
It did okay. Like we've talked about, it's not best in class behind the second row. The Q3 and the X1, along with the Corsair and the Envision, offer more space.
Well, that's interesting. Time now to get into our pumpkin latte.
You would never touch a pumpkin spice latte, ever.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
I've always liked the XT4, but it seems like an in-betweener in size. Does it compete more with the subcompact or compact luxury vehicles?
They actually don't call it subcompact, they call it small.
I know, it's so confusing, isn't it?
And then one up is compact. Anyway, this competes with what cars?
Yeah, it competes with the GLA, the X1, the Q3, the Corsair, the Envision, all of those. They're just packaged differently on the interior. Some offer more cargo space. This XT4 offers best-in-class second row. I sat in one on a showroom floor. The headrests seem really intrusive. They are tilted very forward. Did you notice this, or is it just me? Well, I didn't notice that until you asked that question. Then I got back in the car because I tend to just sit like this. I don't lean my head back, but you're right. It does stick out a little bit further. And Zach mentioned he could see women who have their hair in a ponytail.
Yeah, I get complaints of people saying I have a ponytail and it hits the headrest. Here's the newsflash. This is all done on purpose to keep the headrest as close to your head as possible. This is for the rear crash test that they do.
Yeah.
It's the distance your head travels in a rear impact is what causes whiplash. So the closer it is, the better. It's actually for your safety.
How has reliability been compared to Lexus and Acura? I'm close to buying a 2019 RDX. So the issue...
Before we go on, what should they do with the 2019 RDX?
Don't buy it. It had the most problems, so I wouldn't recommend that year. The other years were better, for sure.
They did improve it.
So when it comes to quality and reliability, Lexus does really well. J.D. Power gives it an 80 out of 100, but this Cadillac XT4 gets 81 out of 100, and I think sometimes we forget about Cadillac and how reliable it is.
So they're doing very well with quality scores from J.D. Power. Just this week, they came out with the initial quality study. The General Motors brands all scored well above the industry average. In fact, the Cadillac CT5 won the midsize luxury sedan space. They can and they do make good quality cars.
How do you find the 2-liter turbo? I drove a CT4 with the same engine, and it was actually pretty quick. Is the same thing found in the XT4, and is it any fun to drive?
Oh, yeah.
Exact same engine. The only difference is that this is a 9-speed automatic transmission and the CT4 has an 8-speed, but same horsepower and same torque.
A lot of the competitors have 221, 228 horsepower. This has more power than its competitive set, and it feels lively. It's a fun little car.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it more than I thought I would, but this engine is really good. And that's it. Thank you for all your questions. Keep them coming.
If you want to get a question in, follow Andrea's Instagram, Motormouth_Andrea. And now, because you hear the music, it's time for nightlife. We keep one question back from Questions, Coffee, and Cars and expand on it. It's our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
Wow, the XT4 is a really good looking car, and that interior is even better. How does it stack up against the Q3, XC40, and GLA or GLB? I'd say those are the top cars in this segment.
Now, before we get into the competitors, I just want to say, Andrea, I have been beating this drum for years, saying that Cadillac makes some excellent products. A lot of people said, Zach, they're just a pile of junk. Just wait. We touched on it already in Questions, Coffee, and Cars about the quality scores. It's coming up again in Vital Stats. General Motors is doing a lot of things right with Buick. They're doing a lot of things right with Chevrolet, and they're certainly doing a lot right with Cadillac.
For sure. I couldn't agree more with you. I like Cadillac a lot. When it comes to the competition, the biggest issue with this XT4 is the interior, the screens. I go back to those screens. Mercedes-Benz, the GLA, has the beautiful touchscreen, the digital driver display. You see it in the Q3, and that makes a difference. Although Zach says 8-inch is good enough for me, it's not good enough for me, and it's not good enough for people who want that extra tech. What I do have to say is that this comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Way to go, Cadillac. But they all drive differently, and I think that this XT4, when it comes to the way it drives and handling and horsepower and torque, this is a real winner.
All right, let's get into the competition while we're talking about them.
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
First up is the Lincoln Corsair. It has 2 4-cylinder engines, a 250 horsepower 2-liter and a 280 horsepower 2.3-liter, both with an 8-speed automatic transmission. The 2-liter has a starting price of just under $45,000 and the 2.3-liter $59,000.
Next is the Audi Q3 with a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder and an 8-speed automatic transmission, 228 horsepower and a starting price of just under $41,000.
The Volvo XC40 T5 with 248 horsepower and a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It has an 8-speed automatic transmission and a starting price of just under $43,000.
Next is the Buick Envision with a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder and a 9-speed automatic transmission, 228 horsepower and a starting price of $38,500 for all-wheel drive. So there are 4 small crossovers for you to consider. Now, we already referenced the quality scores of this Cadillac. We're going to do the vital stats, so keep an eye out for that.
Let's start with pricing. The base model front-wheel drive model starts at just over $36,000. The all-wheel drive base trim is $39,500. Our top sport trim is $43,798, and our price as tested is $57,500. J.D. Power gives the XT4 an overall score and a quality and reliability score of 81 out of 100. Where it really shines is in dealership experience with an 86 out of 100. CarEdge states the XT4 will retain 51% of its value after 5 years.
Here's the fuel economy. 10.9 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 8.2 on the highway. That's 22 miles per gallon city, 29 miles per gallon highway. Towing capacity is 2,500 pounds. You get a 4-year, 80,000 kilometer, 50,000 mile warranty. You also get 4 years free scheduled maintenance. Lightning round, 2 things you like, 2 things you'd like to see improved.
Well, I love this 9-speed automatic transmission and the way that this handles. What I'd like to see improved, well, we all know the 8-inch screen isn't good enough for me. And also, I'd like to see Cadillac clean up their packages. We shouldn't have to pay extra in this class.
For me, I like the way it looks. It doesn't look like everything else, and I certainly like the way it drives. What I'd like to see improved is make the packages much more competitive, and it's got nothing to do with this car, it's about this brand. I just wish that people would give these cars a try. They know what they're doing.
What a sporty and fun utility. This is one you should definitely consider.
This certainly competes on size, on power, handling. It doesn't compete on price, except for the base model. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code Motormouth to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below.